everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kylie and I thought I'd jump on today and share the details about our upcoming trip. Hopefully pass on some little tips and tricks that we've done to help plan our holiday. If you clicked onto this video, maybe you've got an upcoming trip, and hopefully I can share some of the knowledge that I've learned along the way to help you plan your holiday. A bit of an introduction: we're a family of 5. We're from Western Sydney in Australia, and this is our 5th trip to Disney World. We've also done Disneyland and we've also done Aulani. So we're a family of 5. There's myself, and then there's my husband Andrew, and then we have 3 children, Ryan, Ella and Aiden. So about our upcoming trip, we are flying out on the 12th of September and we are returning to Sydney on the 9th of October. So it's just under 4 weeks. And we are going over the New South Wales school holiday period. So what will actually happen is the kids will miss the last week of term 3 and the first week of term 4. And we've obviously got the 2 weeks of the school holidays in that period. September, we found, is always the best time for us. It's cheaper to go over there. In terms of work, it's easier for both of us to get off. It's just a more quieter time for us, and we are utilising the school holidays. In Disney itself, it's very hot, it's very humid, but schools just returned in the US, and before the Halloween period, we find September, early October quite quiet in the parks. We last went to Disney during that time. Unfortunately, we did have 2 hurricanes while we were away in our last trip. The last one actually, forced the park to close, and the hurricane did go over the Disney World directly. However, now that we've experienced, a trip with, interruptions with hurricanes, it's not as bad as what you sort of have in your mind. Like, yes, it could get worse, and it does. And the park close and what Disney do just make it amazing. So we're not too worried about it, and hopefully we've already had, touch wood, hopefully we've already done our fair share of hurricanes with 2 in our last trip, that we won't have any problems with our upcoming trip. But obviously we'll just adapt and work around it if something happens. So basically, with our trip, with the planning, we own DVC as well, and I've touched on that in a previous video. So when you have DVC and our home resort is Animal Kingdom Lodge, you have booking windows, and to book at your home resort, so that's Animal Kingdom Lodge, that booking window opens 11 months prior to your stay. So that was around October last year. And we were sort of toying with the idea of going. We hadn't locked anything down. We hadn't get any approvals for leave or anything. But I just had, if we're going, we're going to go at this time. And what I did was I went in and I booked 2 separate bookings for our home resort. And I did that because I wanted something to sort of fall back on, because the room that I booked is actually a hard to get room. So we've booked in for a 1-bedroom value studio. I think there's only 8 of them. And with the renovations that are currently happening, they're currently at Kidani, and I think they're just about finished and they're going to move over to Jambo. I'm not really sure what rooms will be released. So I just wanted to make sure I secured something. The plan would be, once flights are sort of secured and everything, I would go in and adjust it, and that's exactly what I've done. But October last year, I went in and I made 2 separate bookings, and I knew that one of them was going to be cancelled or shifted slightly, because of I was just throwing a dart into the wall to kind of work out when we were going to go. So that was October, and then we started looking at flights, and we secured our flights in late January. So this particular flight is our first time using our Qantas frequent flyers. So I started collecting Qantas points in, I think it was January of 2024. So it's taken me 2 years, and I haven't done anything amazingly to get those points, but I was strategic in what I did. So each ticket cost around, I think it was about 59,000 points per person per way. So there's 5 of us, so 59 times 10. So, just under 600,000 points is what we needed. And I was able to get that in 2 years. So obviously I had a bonus sign up. And then what I would do is I was, using the credit card to purchase as much stuff as I could and then pay back the credit card. The credit card that I signed up to was an American Express Qantas Platinum card, so that came with points and bonus deals and stuff. I did all my shopping at Woolworths, and I would go in and I've got an everyday rewards card. I had that converted over to Qantas points, and I would do things like I would buy a gift card prior to shopping. So on the Qantas site, it was if you buy a $200 gift card, you get 600 Qantas points. I'd buy that gift card with my American Express card. So that would give me around 250 to like 300 points for using the card as well. And then any sort of bonus points and offers that Woolworths would send to you on the Everyday Rewards program. Now, Woolworths does get a little bit sneaky, and they catch on that you're a regular customer and you don't really need the incentive to come shopping with them all the time. So they sort of draw back on those point deals, and you might get little dribble drabs and stuff. So what I'm currently doing at the moment is I'm swapping in between Qantas, shopping at Coles and Woolworths to try and to get them to entice me to come back with a better points deal. Because at the moment, I think I'm getting get 2,000 points for $320. If you spend $320 in a week. I don't spend $320, and that points deal is terrible. I'm on a couple of Facebook groups, and other people share their detail, like their offers, and they're way better than that. So I'm calling their bluff. I'm going to be shopping at Coles this week and see how I go, and see if I can give you a better offer to entice me to come back. So other things that I've done is we've brought a fridge or something, so we would go in and buy the gift cards via the Qantas site, and then go and make our purchases with them. Another sort of strategic shop that I would do with things like going to Bunnings. You have to be a little bit strategic to get to make the best value out of collecting points. So things like I was painting, so I would go around and collect what I needed to do, work out how much it was going to cost, and then go and buy a gift card. Unfortunately, my phone reception doesn't work in the Bunnings, so I had to go outside, buy the gift card, wait for it to be emailed to me, and then come back. But the whole process takes about 5 minutes. Yes, it's annoying, but doing this was how I was able to get the 600,000 points to book our flights for our upcoming trip. So using all the points and the we only have to pay for taxes. That came to $1,943. So we're flying with Qantas, and that includes seat selection, all meals, and our baggage. With Aiden, he's 4. We'll be taking our pram with us, and that's included as well. What I actually did was, this is I'm not an expert on Qantas points or anything like that at all, but I could see that, and I assume that they only release a certain amount of flights with points that you can use. And I was sort of watching them, and then they went away, and I was like, oh no, I missed it, and they came up again. So I was actually one person short for getting there and back. So I had enough for 9 flights, but not enough for 10. I bit the bullet, and I brought the 9 flights. So I left Andrew off and our booking for our flight home. And the hope was that they would come up again. That's what I've read in lots of vlogs and threads and stuff, that they sort of released more a little bit closer. So I was constantly monitoring it, and lucky enough, it did. And we were going, we brought it with his last bit of, I was just basically waiting for my American Express points to move out of my credit card account and hit my Qantas points. And that was going to be 2 weeks, but I just didn't want to wait those 2 weeks and have the fear of missing out on all of them. So I took the risk, and the risk was that if I wasn't, if the flight never came back, then we would pay cash for his flight home. Thankfully, it came up, and we were able to secure it. So when we're sort of toying, when we're looking at flights, my husband is an NFL fan. Obviously, we can't predict that early on when, you know, teams are going to be playing and everything like that. But to give him the best opportunity, he asks for us to be as many weekends as we could while we're away. So that sort of restricted in a sense when we were flying out and flying home. So we're flying out on a Saturday. So NFL games are predominantly played on a Sunday. So that was 1 week, which is, I think it's the second round of the NFL that he has an opportunity to see a team. And then we're there for another 3 weekends. So all up, we have 4 weekends in Florida, and that sort of gives him enough variety to lock things in. And yesterday, Friday, the 15th of May was when the NFL timetable got released. So he's been looking at, you know, what sort of opportunities he can have. So there's a couple of games in Tampa Bay, in Jacksonville, and in Miami. So they're all local, where he would drive to. And then he was looking a little bit further out, and possibly going to, maybe a New Orleans game, which we have gone to New Orleans and he's seen a game there as well. But he's a Steelers fan, and he was hopeful that the Steelers would be there, and I think they're there 2 weeks after we come back. But there is a Steelers game playing New England Patriots in Boston, and I think he's looking at maybe doing that as well. But that's sort of what we're navigating at the moment. What weekends he will be going. Will he be flying somewhere? If he does, Ryan's taken an interest of going to see, another part of America and what that would look like for us, navigating Disney without him, which I have done in the past. Andrew's driven to Atlanta, he's driven to Tampa, Jacksonville, like he's done this in the past, and it's not a problem, especially when we're at Disney. So basically that's what we wanted to do, not lock down for weekends. And sort of the first sort of thing that I do when I start planning things is I print up, I just Google a calendar, a traditional calendar that you have. Because we were going over September and October, I sort of jigged it a little bit so it was all on one page. But I had, the September and October monthly calendar in a printout, and I sort of just started playing, here is, do we want to go to Disney first? Do we want to go to Universal first? Like, what does that start looking like? And started piecing some things together, bearing in mind that I had those bookings with Animal Kingdom that we did back in October. So sort of working out which ones I'm going to cancel, and as the 7th month window approaches, because when you own DVC, at 11 months, you can book your home resort, and then at 7 months, you can actually move and book at any of the other resorts. So with that sort of coming up, I was sort of looking what was available, what was our preferences, and navigating that around and locking all those down. So we did that. It was stressful because of the time difference and everything like that. I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was on the computer changing our reservations, and it's very strategic, it was crazy, but I got it. So what our eventual plans are, and I'll try and put up on the screen sort of what we're looking at and how I sort of build our planner. So once that's sort of done, I move off the month to view calendar, and I move over onto a spreadsheet. I use this spreadsheet in this format every trip so far. I just open up a new tab, create a copy, and start from scratch each trip. So it's something that the format, we like it. It might not suit you guys, but it's our format. We like to use it. So the first sort of column is the date, and I've got all the dates there, days of the week. I've got a little bit color coded so I can sort of highlight and showcase where the weekends are. The next one is the park hours, and what I go in and I sort of pencil in at this stage, because like we're 120 days out. So park hours don't get released until much closer, but I'll go in and I'll put in what happened last year, just to sort of gauge what happened, like what we'd be expecting. So I'll go in and I'll put park hours. I'll be sure to highlight special things. So if the park's closing early because of a Halloween party, or if there's extended evening hours, I'll make sure that I've got that indicated in there, and I change the colors a little bit. So you'll see some red, or I've got blue for extended evening hours, and next to the blue I've got like a +2, which means it's extended out evening hours, which means deluxe resort guests, which is we are, because we're staying with DVC, get to stay in the park for an extra 2 hours after the park closes, and we really take advantage of that because it's a lot less crowded, and that's our opportunity to ride some rides. Next column I have is, I've got 2 columns, day and evening. First half of the day and the afternoon. So what I'll do, like I break it up, because when we've got park hoppers, we might, take the morning off and go to the park later. We might do a split parks. So I've broken it up so we can sort of indicate there. And what I do is I start working out where we want to be based on the information I've gathered from last year. So I'll, because we're going during the Halloween season, I've gone in and I've put in when I think there was going to be a Halloween party. And the Halloween party dates got released about a week or 2 weeks ago. And I was 100% correct, because it's always on a Tuesday, it's always on a Friday, always on a Sunday. So I was able to predict the Halloween dates. Extended evening hours are always on a Monday and a Wednesday. So just locking all those into the sheet, I can sort of work out where I want to be. Having park hoppers, it's a good idea to go to Magic Kingdom when there is a Halloween party, because a lot of people don't go because they get kicked out of the park on, before 6 o'clock. So they want to get the best value out of their day pass. They'll go to another park. So we'll go to Magic Kingdom on like the Tuesday morning, but with extended evening hours, we'll leave the park and then we'll go to Epcot and go for their extended evening hours. So what I do is I start working out which days that we want to go, and that's sort of where I'm at the moment, is I'm locking in the must-dos. So the must-dos are the ones that, Magic Kingdom's on Halloween, like a morning of Halloween parties. The extended evening hours at Epcot, the days that I want to see Happily Ever After. So when you're going during a Halloween season or the Christmas holidays, there's party dates that will mean that Happily Ever After isn't shown during those days. So basically, when you knock out the Halloween parties and the extended evening hours, it basically leaves, I think, 2 days, like a Saturday night and I think like a Wednesday, that you can go and see Happily Ever After. So if you're looking at like, these are the dates I want to do it, I want to make sure that I'm in the park those days, and I want to do that early on, just in case there's like a storm or something and it gets cancelled that night. Then I've got another opportunity to see it later on, because Happily Ever After, that's my show and I need to see it, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing it. So making sure that I can actually get an opportunity to see it and plan for it is great. And I think it's very important that if you are coming to Disney and you are coming over the holiday season or something, that it's important to plan that, there are days where things aren't on because park hours are changing and whatnot. So when I'm looking at my park days, I use a tally system as well. So I'll, mark that I'm going, half a day at this park and half a day at that park, and sort of tally it all together, and I work out how many times we're visiting that park, just to make sure, we're not shortchanging it, or, going to one park way too much. So basically visually looking at it and just tallying it up, and making sure that, we're not going to be missing out on something. Hollywood Studios, seeing Toy Story Land at nighttime and Galaxy's Edge at nighttime is great. It's also, I feel like Toy Story Land is the hottest place on earth. So, using it to see it at night is a little bit of a welcome Reprieve with the heat and whatnot. Or, Animal Kingdom, that tends to close quite early. So do you go to Animal Kingdom earlier in the morning and then move somewhere else? So just making sure that I've got all that locked in, and trying to get the best out of the best sort of experience for our trip. Now, when you look at that and you're thinking, oh, that's a lot of planning and it sounds really regimented and you really strict and everything. I feel like to go to Disney, to Disney World in particular, to get the best out of your holiday, it does pay to plan a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that means that it's locked in and we have to stick to that, and there's no alterations or anything, but that's not the case. Like, we're happy to move things and accommodate around, and that's exactly what we've done in the past. Our last trip, we had 2 hurricanes that we dealt with, and that changed our plans quite significantly. But we just were able to adjust and move things around. Did we miss out on things? Yes. But it wasn't the be all and end all, and we were able to adapt. Also, having little kids, especially little kids, it's important to sort of be flexible, and sort of work out what's happening and how they're feeling, in terms of how that dictates your day. If they're tired, you're not going to be dragging through the parks for the next 10 hours. Go let them have a sleep and have a rest, and just work things around that as well. And the weather, it could be a storm, it could be hurricane, and you just need to adjust to that as well. But having a good idea and an understanding of what you're having coming up would be great. So the next part of my spreadsheet is the resort that we're staying at, and I have that color coded as well, and that just sort of helps me understand as visually that where we're going and what we're doing on that particular day. So our upcoming trip, we are starting our trip at Universal Studios, and we are checking into Endless Summer Resort. So I made that booking, I'm going to say around March, and I did that originally through booking.com. And then I used an app called Shopback, and I saw that they had a booster offer for Expedia, and I think it was 14% cash back for your bookings. So I went and checked Expedia, and I think at the time when I did my original booking with booking.com, we booked just a standard studio, like the 2 queen beds. But with this Expedia booking, they had an offer for the 1 bedroom. So it was going to be 3 queen beds and, a separate room and a little kitchenette and everything. And it was an extra $20. But with also the 14% cash back, I was able to get a really good deal. So with the cash back, we are actually paying $1,610 Australian dollars for that resort. We've already paid and booked that, so we're ready to go with that. I think if you go onto that website now and look at those, it's more than double. So it does pay to book everything as soon as you can, and just constantly monitor. Booking.com and Expedia and all those sort of places, even Booking Direct, they have, always check the cancellation policies. All of those, like booking directly with Universal or Disney, booking with, Booking.com or Expedia, a lot of the time they have free booking. So you're not losing anything if you book too early and, the plans change or you find a better offer. It's free cancellation. And I think I did that twice or 3 times just to get what we've got now. And I'm not moving it anymore because it's more than double, and we're happy with those dates. So we'll be checking into Endless Summer. We are due to arrive around 6:30, 7 o'clock, and so we'll land at MCO Airport once we collect all our baggage and everything like that. We're sort of working out now whether we're going to hire a car or are we going to hire a car later on in the trip, and this sort of you know, Andrew with his NFL schedule, what he's planning to do is how that's going to play out, and how, you know, whether or not we get a car at that part of the trip or if we get a car at the end of the trip. We don't need a car for the entire duration. A, it's really expensive, and B, it's just unnecessary. So if we don't have a car, and I think it's looking like we won't, I don't think Andrew plans to go in the first weekend of the holiday. We will look like we'll catch the bus, the Universal bus, from MCO Airport to our hotel, and we'll be there from that Saturday night until the following Saturday, where we'll check out. Our park tickets we haven't purchased yet. There's no rush, but I've been sort of looking at, you know, what's the best option for us to do when it comes to buying Universal tickets. So we purchase a lot of our tickets. We've always purchased our tickets from UK providers. They can provide a much better deal. So sort of been looking at different like Florida Tix or attraction tickets, or attraction ticks, just to sort of work out which one's the best deal to get for Universal Studios. I've done a lot of pre-purchase at the moment, so I'm just sort of waiting to get my surplus back up again, like our savings, and then I'll go ahead and buy Universal. But there's no offers or anything at the moment, so there's no real rush to get them. So when we were working out how many days we were going to visit the Universal parks, we sort of sat down and went, well, we don't necessarily need to go Volcano Bay because our Disney tickets include a water park day. However, Volcano Bay is a very good water park, but we were willing to sacrifice that. Epic Universe, we'd love to do 2 days there. Islands of Adventure, at least 2 days, or at least 1.5. And Universal Studios itself, just 1 day or even half a day. So we were sort of looking around the 5-day pass. And when I started doing some research online, the 7-day pass is the same price as the 5-day pass. So I thought, you know, why not? And that also threw in Volcano Bay as well. So the original plan was to check out Saturday morning of Universal Studios and go straight to Disney. But now that we've got, well, the plan is to purchase either a 7-day pass or even the 14-day pass, because I think there's not much difference in that either. We'll have a full day at Saturday as well. If we have the 14 days, we could literally even look like coming back later on in our trip. If we have a car and if, you know, we want to go back to Universal, we can. So we'll check out, like I said, on Saturday, the 19th of September, and we'll be driving, or once again, we'll have to work out whether we're getting a car. I think that particular weekend, or the Sunday, the 20th of September, I think Andrew does plan on seeing a NFL game. He doesn't care where. I think there's plenty of opportunities around that he can go to either one. So I'm pretty sure he's going to have an NFL game to go to that day. So I think we're going to book a car for the 19th, and that will get us to transfer from Universal Orlando through to Disney property. Our first stay is at Old Key West, and we'll be staying in a 1-bedroom villa. We have done Old Key West in the past, in a previous trip, but we only stayed in a studio. Aiden was only a little baby at the time, but this time we're going into a 1-bedroom. Now, Disney have a dining offer this trip where kids eat free for all of 2026. Usually free dining offers don't include DVC members or annual pass holders because they want you to purchase a park ticket, but this particular offer does let DVC utilize this. So we have got free dining for our 3 children. So once again, it's not like buy one, get one free. It's literally however many children you have on your reservation gets free dining. So we will be doing free dining for the first resort stay. So that's the Old Key West. So the free dining will be coming in at 1,200 Australian dollars for that Old Key West stay. So that is for the quick service dining option. So that comes with a resort refillable mug. So with all 5 of us, we'll get one. And then we'll have 2 quick services and 1 snack. Now with the adults, the quick services does include an alcoholic beverage. And then for the kids' meals, it includes just a standard drink or maybe a specialty drink and stuff. So at the moment, I'm sort of working out and looking at some videos about what's the best things that we can do in terms of get the most value for it. You know, things like for using quick service children's credits at establishments that will give you an adult meal instead. So for example, Casey's Corner in Magic Kingdom, they don't have a kids menu, so you can use a kids credit to get anything off the menu, and a standard soda, not an alcoholic one, which is fine. You can't get alcohol at Magic Kingdom. So, for example, we all eat the corn nuggets or a hot dog. Instead of using an adult quick service where we can get an alcoholic beverage at maybe Disney Springs or something, we'll use a kids value credit, maybe Aiden's or something, where he will just be happy to eat the chips, and we can sort of utilize and share that a bit more. And so I'm sort of strategizing some things, what are the most valued snacks? So like the Gaston's Tavern cinnamon scroll, that's a big cinnamon scroll that we could share for breakfast one day. You've got the funnel cake at Hollywood Studios with the ice cream and strawberries. You've got the waffle Mickey sandwiches at Sleepy Hollow in Magic Kingdom. They're all great value and large portions that we can all share, and we can then bank our snack credits to use at the Food and Wine Festival, which is happening at Epcot while we're there. So the way the dining plan works is you'll get, each person will get 1 snack and 2 meals per night of your stay. And they start on the day you check in and up to the midnight of the day you check out. So we do have another reservation afterwards. If we have anything left over that won't carry over with us, we will lose it that day. But, we'll be able to track and monitor how we're going. So on Friday the 25th is when we check out of Old Key West, and then we move over into one of those original bookings that I had all the way back in October. And we book into Animal Kingdom Lodge, the 1-bedroom value studios. And that's when the dining plan will stop, and we'll be just on, whatever we want to do. And, if we have dinner reservations or anything like that, that's when we'll do the table service side of things, because having any sort of booking or anything on top of the dining plan, I just feel like the dining plan is going to be a lot of food, especially because we've got the 3 kids that are eating. Aiden's like a sparrow. He won't eat much anyway, so we'll have, I honestly think there's going to be plenty of food. We did do the dining plan in our first trip in 2018, and that was when it was free as part of our hotel reservation. And it was the one that we had was 1 table service, 1 quick service, and I think it was 2 snacks per person and the refillable mug. And that was a lot of food, and it was just the 4 of us then, and we used a couple of two table service credits to combine as well. And we did have some things left over at the end of the day, some snack credits that we brought back with us, like we brought some stuff from the shops, but that was our first trip, and we were very new and we didn't know how to do things more strategic. And we've learned a lot along the way since then as well. So we are staying in Animal Kingdom Lodge until the 1st of October, and then we move out and change resorts again this final time, and we're moving over into a studio at Wilderness Lodge. That particular studio does Sleep 5. We're really excited. That's one of my bucket resorts to stay at. I would love to go during Christmas, but that's maybe a future trip. But we're really excited to draw out the rest of our trip there. So that will see us through to our end of our reservations. And then if we have a car, we'll drive back to the airport. But if not, we'll use, the Mears service, which used to be the Magical Express, but they can pick you up from the resort and take you to the airport. Ideally, that's probably the best thing for us, because our luggage and everything towards the end of the trip, it's just a lot because of all the little knickknacks that you pick along the way. Coming into a trip, like we have things, like we nest things like luggage, smaller luggage into our larger luggage, so we don't have as much. So, getting a car at the start of the trip, we could squeeze everything in. But when you've got 5 big cases, a pram, 5 carry-ons, and 5 of us, fitting into like a mid-size or family-sized SUV is quite hard, and that's sort of the range that we're looking at for the cars, and that's what we did book last time. when we picked up the car on our last trip, they actually ran out of that size and they told us to go up to the family size, and we actually got a van. And even then, it was a bit of a struggle to get everything in at the end of our trip as well. So the Disney World tickets, we purchased them. We actually purchased them quite a while ago. There was an offer that I thought was a pretty good deal to get prior to, before we'd be able to, utilize any sort of Black Friday sales or anything like that. So I purchased them from the UK website, Attraction Tickets. We've used them many times. There's absolutely no problems with us using them or redeeming them on the other end. They have launched an Australian website, but unfortunately they don't sell that particular ticket package on the Australian website. You have to go to the UK version. And what I just email them and I just say that, I've used you in the past and I'd like to book, the 14-day tickets. So what it is, it's usually 14 days for the price of 7. I think at this time, they had a 25% off sale, adults at kids prices or something like that. So I thought that was a good opportunity, and I've purchased them. Now, doing it this way, I had to purchase them in pounds. So I did a little bit of homework as to whether or not I transfer money onto my travel card, convert it over to pounds and then pay it that way, or whether or not I just put it on my American Express card. That way it gave me points, and then I copped the international transaction fee. And that's what I did. I think the fees weren't that much, but spending quite a substantial amount of money, I was able to get quite a decent amount of points. I've already used all my points, I already booked my flight, but this is, forward planning for our next trip. So the tickets that we've got for Disney, like I mentioned before, they're 14 days. You can use them over a period of 18. So that's great because it can give you opportunity to build in rest days. And we all know that you need rest days when you're at Disney. Are we going to use every single day? I don't know, maybe. My husband probably won't because he will be going to NFL games. But during those days where he's not there, I'll be going to the park. So chances are we will be. Our last trip, we had every day booked to go to the park. We had one day left, my husband had 2. And that one day was because it closed because of the hurricane. And Disney was actually amazing about it. So the 14-day pass expired after 18 days. But because Disney closed because of the hurricane, they actually extended those tickets for another year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to use them, because we didn't go to Disney last year. We went on a cruise. So it's 14 days over the 18. It's park hopper. So you can, check in, you can go to one park and then change and flip around and all that sort of stuff. And that's great. Like I explained earlier, going to Magic Kingdom on a Halloween party, it's much quieter during the day. And then you can hop over and go to Epcot or Magic Kingdom. The rest of the world will be there. It'll be very busy. But it gives you an opportunity to go and experience a park that's quieter and then move over. It also includes Photo Pass as well. So, that's, on the rides or seeing, the cast members around in their green shirts. You can get some nice photos and whatnot. And there's other couple of things, like there's a mini golf. We've actually never had an opportunity to do that. But we'll try and, now that Aiden's a little bit older, we'll try and head there and do some mini golf as well. That would be really good. So the price for those tickets came to $5,700 Australian dollars. And that's with the Australian dollar rate compared to the pound at about, I think it was 52 cents. So that was purchased quite a while ago. I don't know what the exchange rate is at the moment, but obviously that will change and dictate the price based on how, whatever that fluctuation is. Anything that I've booked in American dollars, I've converted to Australian to sort of give an overview of what I've spent. And at the moment, the Australian dollar is hovering around 72 to 73 cents. And depending on when you watch this video. But yeah, the Australian dollar at the moment is around 72 US cents. Not great, but I looked at our records our last trip from 2 years ago, and that was 64 cents. So better, but from what I can tell, inflation's hit everywhere, and it's definitely hit in the US. And just shopping at Target or Walmart, it's expensive. So we'll figure it out. We'll get there. We'll be fine. Our travel insurance is included with the credit cards. So that's, no additional cost there. Our passports are all up to date, so there's no additional cost there. However, we did have to get some new ESTAs as some of them had expired. Recently, they've just gone up. So that cost $288. But basically, it is what it is. We had to pay it. So with our flights, travel insurance, Disney World tickets, and our accommodation, that's all sort of locked in. I've put money aside and sort of determined, I'm looking at my computer, but I can show you here. Sort of the green is all sort of locked in and paid for, and the orange is the price has been locked in, but I just haven't paid it. And that total cost is coming in at $14,200. That's basically everything apart from spending money and car hire. I haven't put car hire in there yet. So we're basically all in, and that's a Disney trip for 4 weeks with everything paid for except for our spending money, a little bit of food at the end, like apart from the quick service dining. I do have that included in there. I haven't purchased it yet. Just like I said, I'm waiting for some more money to come through. Yeah, so the next part of our trip that we're sort of working on now is Andrew's going to work out what NFL games he's going to go to. And then based on that, we'll book our car hire, and then work out, while we have the car, where we got to go off property in terms of dinner at Chili's or, any of the other places that we want to go check out while we're there. And then when we get the car, a last sort of Walmart shop before we go back, because, when we're staying at Disney property, we'll have a full kitchen in Old Key West and a full kitchen in Animal Kingdom Lodge as well. So we'll be able to, stock up the fridge and the freezer and use the oven if we need to. I mean, we're on holidays, I don't plan on it. But, having said that, last trip we were stuck in our hotel for about 2 days, and we did have to heat some stuff up in the oven, which it was handy to have. Actually, staying at that resort, I think out of all the ones I've ever stayed at Disney property during a hurricane, was the best. We had direct access to the lobby, direct access to the food courts, and all that sort of facilities, all undercover, all under one roof. Whereas if you were to say somewhere at like Old Key West or Saratoga or Pop Century or anything, you're all on separate buildings, and to get to the central hub, you're outdoors and stuff. So we're actually really lucky and really fortunate to stay where we were during the hurricane and be essentially locked in. So that's pretty much what we're up to at the moment. If I've got more to add to this, I'll add this. I'm not going to post this right away. Might do it again, I don't know. But I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to jump in, share while it's all still sort of fresh in my mind, onto you guys. So you can plan too, hopefully. I'll maybe jump on again. You might see us in a different location. This is my new office. This is actually my youngest son's playroom, but I used to sit out in the main living area, but I don't fit there anymore. So I'm now sitting in the playroom. This is where I work for most of my job. But yeah, you'll see it's Toy Story themed. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Thank you.